Live, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in our beautiful Facebook world. Thank you for joining us for today's very, very, very special Shining the Light on Our Community. And with me today, I have a very special guest, all the way from Florida. When I say all the way from Florida, because I'm on the other side of the world in Australia. But today, Jacqueline is joining us to talk about energy healing and how we can use energy to help heal addictions as well. So lots of wonderful conversations coming up. So Jacqueline, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It is an honor. Let's just hear a little bit about you. Let me introduce you a little bit. So you're an energy healer, a guide, and an advocate for those struggling with addictions, right? You've been in recovery for 5 years, and you've been guided to learn about energy healing during COVID.
Yes.
Definitely, absolutely. I resonate with that one too. And you've done psychic development that included working with energy. And you've quit your corporate job and started a business healing others from addiction. There's so much more that we can know about you. So Jacqueline, let's start. Tell us about you. Tell us about your story, your journey to where you've been, especially with different addictions, if that's okay for you, to where you are now, and how you got to being the beautiful person that you are now.
I'd be more than happy to. Basically, my story was I was an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to handle emotions. I didn't know how to deal with emotions. And like a lot of people do today, they kind of tuck it away because it's too hard to deal with and look at. And that's how I was growing up. I grew up in a large family, lots of brothers and sisters, total of 9 children my mother had. And we just grew up very sarcastic. It wasn't one of those situations where we'd say what we felt. It was just very sarcastic and dry, and parents worked a lot. So it was kind of like we didn't really have parental figures like we needed to. So growing up in that kind of I also came from Peru. So I was born in Peru. I came here when I was 4.5 years old. So it's a whole learning the country, learning the way the dynamics work here all around. It was just a big change. So anyway, growing up with all these things that happen in life in general, I was abused, and I've been through a lot in my life, and I just didn't know how to deal with a lot of things or process things. So rather than confront them, not knowing any better, I just kind of tucked it away. And then as I got older and more life happened, I started to develop more and more self-esteem issues, problems with myself, thinking I was no good, like a lot of people today do as well. And then from there, I started with food. I started to develop a food addiction. So when I was stressed out, I would eat and eat and eat.
Yes.
I had problems with self-esteem. I would be so heavy, people would make fun of my weight. So that kind of led to that. And then from there, I started, because I had so many issues, I started seeing therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists. And from that point on, they wanted to put me on medication.
Yes.
So I was medicated for depression and that. And I became addicted to prescription medication, got me down a really bad, dark path. And then in between that, that's when I turned 21. I started drinking. And I just completely lost it after that. I had no sense of self because I was always an insecure person, and I just never had any idea of who I was. It just kind of went with the flow. And for me, when things got really hard, I would pick up a drink. And it was really difficult and very stressful, and I just didn't know what to do. And eventually, it just led me down a horrible spiral. I have a son as well. He had to witness so many things in my life that wasn't fair, that he needed to see me behave the way sloppy and, big disheveled and all that. But anyway, I moved to Florida about 7 years ago, 1,000 miles away from my family. And it was kind of like I was by myself. I was still drinking. So I basically kind of had this ridiculous mentality where I thought, all right, I got an opportunity to move to Florida, start something new. I was still the same person. I just, all I did was remove myself from one state into
So,
another, and I was still doing the same thing over and over again. And I had nobody. I was alone. I was by myself, and I finally bottomed out. And I
yes,
finally said, oh my God, I finally had to stop drinking. And I couldn't do it anymore. I was so sick, tired of being miserable, because there was never a happiness at the end of it, reaching for something to soothe me. And that's how I
yes,
grew up.
yes,
So when
yeah,
when COVID finally happened, I was 2 years into 2018 was my last drink. It was, I'll
sure.
never forget. It was Cinco de Mayo was the last day I had my last bottom. I was 2 years in, I was doing steps, I had a sponsor, I was going through all that, and then COVID hit. And then it was like, boom, I was home. What do we do now? I was working from home. It was really difficult. And then shortly thereafter, I lost my dad to COVID. And it was just a horrible, horrible feeling for me. And I didn't know what to do. And I was just a mess. And I had a dream about my dad shortly after he passed away. And I remember, and it stuck with me. It was like he was trying to give me a message, and I was trying to figure out what it was. And somehow I came into psychic development. I read about it in a course. I was looking at something online, and for some reason, something drew me to do that, not knowing this was going to be the beginning of everything for me. It was going to change my life. And when I started doing these courses, there was a big portion of it that had to do with energy healing, how to heal yourself.
Yes.
And as I was going through the courses, and all of a sudden I started to feel like unbelievable. It was like things were changing. I was emotional. I was sad. I was feeling all these feelings. And I remember asking my teacher, why am I feeling this way? Like, why am I so emotional? What's going on with me? Is there something wrong with me? And my teacher said, no, it's normal. You're releasing, you're healing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time in my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never experienced anything like that. And as a result of that, it was literally like somebody was going inside of me for all the years of stagnant energy that I had trapped in my body that I never dealt with, was finally coming out. And I was starting to feel and understand and see who I was. And I found out through the course that I was actually a healer. I was supposed to do this. This is always what I was supposed to do. And it was kind of the timing between after losing my dad. And I feel like he's the one that pointed me in that direction for me to start taking these courses and seeing that it works. I was in shock, and it just kind of all came together. And it was just a really amazing experience for myself to go through, because I also felt, even when I was in AA for 2 years, I still didn't feel like I was really dealing so much with things. Like I was like, yeah, okay, I did the steps, I did this, I did that. And then as soon as I started doing energy healing, it was like the other component I needed to get rid of everything else. And I was amazed. And I was like, oh my God, I said, I wish that I knew about this before, because not that many people do.
No.
And it's not a common thing. People don't understand that we're made of energy. Our emotions are made of energy. So everything we think and do is energy. Things we avoid stays in our bodies, energy. So that's just the way that it is. And it's like, and everything just came together. So I decided I have to help people, because I remember looking at my face so many times in the mirror before I started working on myself, how I just felt sad. It was always like I was so sad all the time, and I didn't know where it was coming from. And it was from things that I never dealt with. So to look at other people's eyes and give them hope became my mission, because I know that I'm not the only one that's struggling. There's so many people out there that are suffering right now. So I decided to quit my job. I was working for a corporate job for 6 years since I moved to Florida. I had it. I didn't want anything to do with it, because I felt like I was going nowhere. I was working for someone else. I wasn't doing anything to help anyone. So I decided to create a business to help people struggling with addictions, because it's a really difficult road to begin with. It's just really hard. And for me, it was a blessing in disguise. I had to go through the process of learning and healing and discovering this to actually see the connection, how well it can help someone else. So that's basically where I am today. I'm so much happier, and I'm so happy to help other people, give them hope, because so many people have lost it. So many people don't understand that there's more out there, and they just need to try it out. I also offer free sessions to people just because I want them to feel comfortable, so that they don't feel like, they don't know me, so they're always standoffish. So I kind of just provide that, for them, so that they can get comfortable. And once they open up and they realize, hey, you know what I'm going through because you've been there, then they're willing to work with me. And I work one-on-one, so it's kind of like I'm between a sponsor and a coach. So I kind of do both.
Yes, yeah.
And that's how I help.
Which is how you help people. So I just like to, just take a moment and to really thank you and honor you for helping people that way, because I felt like I totally agree with you in so many stuff. Like I know about energy healing. I do a lot of energy healing myself. I'm a sound worker, a sound practitioner, and everything else, which is all energy. And I also receive a lot of energy. I've just broken my shoulder, and I know that it's through the Reiki that I've been receiving from all over the world that I'm not in any pain. Right. So first of all, to get the message out there about healing with energy it's so valuable. So valuable. But then, Jacqueline, you're taking it on the next level, because even like for myself, I like addictions, when we get addicted to substances, whatever substances that is, it is because of suppressed emotions, right? We suppress our emotions through those substances, through the food, through the alcohol, through the drugs, the prescriptions, the non-prescriptions, whatever it is, through technology. We get addicted to a technology because we don't want to deal with our emotions. But to be able to use the energy to heal that addiction, to release all those emotions, that's an incredible thing. So just really, really thank you for that. Let's go into the actual energy healing, because there's so many different types of energy healing. But when you're talking about healing addictions with energy, is there anything in particular that you use, anything in particular that you do?
I actually use a program. It's called Divine Healing, which is basically kind of in the same concept of me being your psychiatrist. So you lay down on your couch comfortably, you have a bottle of water, and you relax. And I start to call spirit. Mm-hmm. So I use my own energy to call spirit to heal the individual. And I ask them a series of questions, and it can go anywhere from phobias to questions about their past, things like that kind of pull the emotion. And what I ask them to do is to feel that emotion as I ask them these questions. So when they start to feel those particular emotions, that's when I'm able to go in and heal them, because they need to be right outside of the surface. So that once I also do mantras and I do incantations to release that from their body. Mm-hmm. And they feel it. Their whole body just kind of reacts, whether they feel like there's pressure or it's like swishing in their body, and they start to relax and calm down. And most of them cry because it's a very emotional experience. I also do meditations with my clients. I do like a lot of like one-on-one, anything that they need from me, they can call me, they can, just share with me, because they need to know that they're not alone. And a lot of people are under conception that they think that no understand them, and I do. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference. So I do that with them. And, I also give them other tools. I do EFT. I do several modalities with them in addition to the mantras and energy healing, because you need to have it all. It's very important to clear all that out. And it's not just as simple as words. You need to also work the steps. So I try to give them a very good, grounded series of information, so that they can work on their own, even when they're done with not working with me, and they can do it from home, because it's very helpful for them to continue to work it. And it's unbelievable, because something that can take years to go through, it's done in months. And that's the part that makes it more amazing, because you're literally going deep down in the root of the cause, and you're releasing all that.
Yes.
And sometimes it's so overwhelming, you don't even know what it is. It's like layers. That's what happened to me. So it's, for me, I call it, it's like spiritual therapy. That's kind of how I look at it too, in that same realm, because it's so helpful and so beneficial on so many levels. And it gives the individual time to just relax and really think things through and be honest. And that's really important. Being honest with yourself and really facing it. It hurts, but it's a heck of a lot better than drinking and drugging and doing whatever else people do when there's no end. There's never a release. And this is different. This is a release and relief, and you're finally able to move on step by step.
Yeah. Yeah. And I totally agree. Again, it's like it's releasing, and it's experiencing that relief, because we all in this life, every single person goes through stuff. We've all got baggage. We've all got experiences, from whether or not you believe in past lives or not, even just this one life from day dot. From when we were born, we're absorbing things into our body. And when we don't know how to deal with that, and we take other substances to cover it up, then it's just suppressing it even more. And that's why I love when you're talking about releasing all that thing. It may be painful. God, it feels so much better when it's out, when it's completely gone. And like you said, sometimes you don't even know what it is, but we don't have to know. It's just years and years and many layers of suppressed experiences that you're able to help people release, and it's wonderful. Now, I'm assuming that you can help people no matter where they are, all over the world?
No matter where they are, I do everything through Zoom. It's a convenience, private, in your own home. You just lay down and relax. And that's when I work one-on-one with you. So it's incredible. Yeah. It's convenient for everyone, so it's not even necessary. There's occasion that people will come, and I can do it when they sit down, one-on-one, face-to-face, but for the most part it's mostly through Zoom, anywhere. So that's convenience.
Yes, yeah, and we will be putting your links in the comments as soon as we finish for people to get in contact with you. And tell me, Jacqueline, with the transformation that you've had in your life, and now being able to learn, about psychic development and energy healing and everything like that, if you could leave a legacy for all the people who are growing up in this world, that, it's becoming more challenging each and every day to grow up. But if you could leave a legacy for the future generations on, for their life, so they get to a stage where where there's no substance abuse. All right. But if you could leave a legacy, what legacy would that be?
Education is really important, I think. I mean, the more people know and are aware of everything that they can gain from just resourcing it, because it's not just as simple as listening to a friend or somebody saying what I would like to say is more like the conditioning. So we're used to certain things in school where we learn certain things, trades and this and that and the other. Think outside the box, because there's more to just one. There's always more than one answer. So for me, education is very important. So my legacy of education is just knowing yourself better, learning who you are, because sometimes people live life not knowing who they are. And I was that person my whole life. And it took me to stop drinking and doing this kind of work to actually discover who I was. And it's very important, because following the crowd doesn't work. And a lot of people do that because they feel out of place and out of touch, and they feel different from everyone else. Yes. So for me, education is very important. That's what I would love to leave. And love, I mean, just pure unconditional love. I mean, that's the thing, I think, for everyone, just to find that and be able to give it to other people. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's a chain reaction, I guess you could say. You're kind to somebody else and they can be kind to someone else. No matter what, kindness is everything. You don't know what a person's going through, even though they're smiling. They might be smiling, but they might be hurt inside. And I was very good like that growing up. No one knew that there was anything wrong with me, because I kept it all in. I got really good at it. So there's a lot of people that are like that now. But again, education, learn about yourself, learn what makes you happy so you can heal, because that's really important.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely, and it is, and I totally agree. I mean, there's no use. We're not going to heal when we don't know who we are, or when we don't know, when we're not aware of the things that affect us. That when we're not ready to learn, to grow. So I totally agree with you. So thank you for that. And just before we go, is there anything else that you would like to share about if we could help you to create like a mission, a movement in using energy to help the world heal from addictions? Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Don't give up. I mean, that's the one thing that I can say. Please don't give up. There's so many avenues, not necessarily even just mine. There's so many other modalities out there. I mean, this is kind of the old school that we're bringing back. I feel like this is what we were always supposed to know in the beginning, that just kind of never translated into the society it is today, but it's finally coming out. So I think that just open your eyes, being self-aware, being very mindful of everything and everyone around you. I mean, I could go on and say so much more, but, I know they're also almost out of time too, but I also just want to say, please just hang in there. Everything's going to work out if you really believe it, and you really, really, truly, you must have the will to want to do it. That's very important. If you're not willing to change, you're not going to. You can't do it for your mom. You can't do it for your wife. You can't do it for anyone but you. And that's the important thing. No matter how much someone cries, you got to do it for you. And when you're ready to do it, you'll do it. But just have a plan and reach out. There's always resources. There's always help available. You just have to really want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. And I said, I'd just like to, again, I know I've said it before, but to really honor you, Jacqueline, because I'm sitting here and saying, you've lived the life that you've lived. You've been able to completely turn it around from a life of addictions and suppression. And I hear what you're saying, because I've lived a similar life, especially with the food. If we take so much comfort in food or other substances when we don't want to deal with our emotions. But I just like to, really honor you. You're a walking example, living example of what you can do when we're ready, when you're ready to take responsibility for your life, when you're really ready to turn it around and to heal all your hurts that have happened in the past, to heal or to release all those emotions through the most natural way of energy. We don't need substances to heal us. It's just energy.
Yes. And that's so true. I mean, meditation and energy and focusing and really just getting down to it, just really like feeling it and letting it go. And anything, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel your feelings. Just don't live in it.
Yeah.
Just feel it and let it go. And that's a really big lesson a lot of people need to hear too. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry, but just let it go.
Just let it go. Don't suppress it.
Yeah, it's very important.
Don't suppress it, and don't hold on to it. A lot of times we get angry over something and we hold on to that so much. So thank you. Really, really thank you. And for everyone who is watching, we have had quite a few people watching us. Do stick around. We will be putting all of Jacqueline's links in the comments very, very soon. Jacqueline, thank you ever so much. I'd love to talk to you again. I really, really would. I think, just the different concepts of energy healing, and then we can go into psychic development and everything else. But there's so much to know about energy, and how it can heal on very different levels, as I said, physically and emotionally, to heal all the addictions that we have within us. It's really amazing. So thank you for sharing it today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.